these things. Over the years, I've always thought, two iconic sichot. Two sichot that we could say, this is Rabbi Price. There was the Reader's Digest Sikha, Hashgacha Pratis. Everybody knows that. It changed every year. It was interesting. He always used to tell little stories about how he was having a tough day and somebody stopped and gave him a ride up the hill. But I know that it was also Hashgacha Pratis, but nobody stopped and gave him a ride up the hill. And he was well aware of that. It wasn't just, oh, Hashgacha Pratis, when Kadosh Baruch Hu paves the way for it. No. It's all Hashgacha Pratis. And the second Sikha, Gamzu L'Tova. And the truth is that these are both the same Sikha if you think about it. Rabbi Price taught us, everything that happens to you comes from Hashem. And Hashem is good. And Kol Mada Ovid Rachmana L'Tova L'Ovid. So whatever you're going through, it's good. So what are you complaining about? It's good. If there's Hashgacha Pratis, there's Gamzu L'Tova. There's no difference between the two of them. Because we felt this, because we felt and saw that this wasn't the man who was in an ivory tower lecturing to us. I've been to university, I've done that route, I've seen it. This was a man who was living every single word that he taught. I can't count the number of times I heard him say, it's not the circumstances that make the man. It's what the man does with the circumstances that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him. And that's what we saw. It was clear. This was not a fancy turn of speech. So I would come home all enthused about these sichot, and my wife said, this is not fair. This is totally not fair. You're in Kaila, you're sitting and learning all day. At the end of the day, you're getting these phenomenal sichot to give you chizuk. What about us? What about the women? We want sichot also. I said, okay. And I went and I spoke to the Rabbi and the Neveh, and I said, the women want to hear sichot. And we worked it out that once a month, one of the Neveh Rabbi would come down and give a sichot in somebody's house. And I think the first one to volunteer was Rabbi Price, who, of course, had all the time in the world, had no problem walking from one place to the other. Really. The person who had probably the best excuse to say, this is really not for me. And he would walk into whoever house it was, and sit down at a table or stand or whatever it was, and take off his glasses. He didn't want to say anything. When the Reader's Digest Sikha, and this is something that very few people know, by the way. Very few people know about his Shmir Sinai. And then it's like, who thinks of this, And I asked him once, he had all his Reader's Digest stories. Right? And I was in the house more than once, and I saw he had the large print edition. We're going back 35 years. And the large print edition of Reader's Digest is a lot more expensive than the regular edition. And I said, Rabbi, he said, it's simple. There's no advertisements. If there's no advertisements, then there's no pictures. It's like, do you think of these things? I don't. I should. And now I do, because I've learned from Rabbi Price. I remember the first time I ever led my own Pesach Seder. I had some very special guests. I had the Price family by us. The Rebbitzin was, don't ask me with which one. And she was totally out. And I said, come to us. We lived right across the way. We were in 107 at the time. We were in 107. They were in 106. Way back here. Rabbi Price wouldn't sit at the head of the table. He was a Rebbe Neveh. I was like a 23-year-old schnook, you know, like. He wouldn't even sit near me. He sat, if I remember correctly, he sat like almost, not opposite me, but like at the other end of the table on the side. I didn't even think I knew what I was doing. But he let me in. 1 minute. This is, you know, a young guy. Everyone's got a first time. And he was so appreciative. He was always so appreciative. The main thing with that Seder was he did not want me to feel uncomfortable by the fact that he was there. And at that Seder, and at many other times, as was mentioned, we saw Rabbi Price's strict adherence to halacha. And even so, he never imposed his approach, his things, on anybody else. If he asked the Shiloh, he got an answer, and that's what he did. And I remember, over the course of many years, Rabbi Price asked my Rebbe, Friedlander, tens, hundreds of shilos that the Mishpacha asked, especially in the later years when there were a lot of medical issues to deal with. There was never a question about asking the shiloh. It was the most natural thing in the world to Rabbi Price. Rabbi Price was a noyam halichus. He was a man with very pleasant ways. He greeted every bocher, not like a Rebbe who greets his Talmud, but as a friend. I remember I was in the kollel, a young guy, and I see some bocher, some 18-year-old schnook come over and smash him on the back. Hey, Rabbi, how's it going? And I'm like, I jumped. Here's a man who could barely stand up on his own. And this 18-year-old guy, you know, I don't think we had a weight room at the time, but still, you know, these guys, boom! And he turns, he says, oh, Baruch Hashem, how are you? With a big smile. It's like, you'd expect a Rebbe in yeshiva. I'm not talking about the Israeli, but in the American yeshiva. I remember as a kid, even in elementary school, there was a certain modicum of respect, epis. No, he didn't hold from him, so it was okay. It was fine. It wasn't a problem. Often visited Telstone for Shabbos after I moved out. We would always try to go to Rabbi Price for a meal, Rebbitzin. You'd walk in the house, you could see scores of pithy chizuk sayings, chizuk giving sayings on the wall. The Prices didn't need to buy wallpaper, they made their own. But there was something behind that. It wasn't just a cute thing. It was that Rabbi Price wanted constant reminders for himself. And the male of the family got those reminders, and anybody who walked into the house got those reminders. And yeah, they were cute, because when you want to put a yesod into 4 words on a piece of paper, it better be cute. There's no other way to do it. I got to see, over the years, how Rabbi Price encouraged offering. How he spoke to his children, how a Shabbos table should look like. He always used to ask me for a vote. Say, Yidel, no, you got a vote for me? And the way he responded, I always felt that his depth and breadth of learning were totally concealed. That we had no idea how much he knew, how much he learned. I mean, I can't measure Talmidei Chacham. You need to be bigger than the people you measure with, or else it just overflows, you know? You can't measure a leader in a thimble. But and this was his way in life. Everything was done with tremendous seriousness. At the Levaya, one of the children spoke about the tzedakah he gave. Almost 40 years I knew him. Not an inkling. Who knew? Who knew? Somebody must have known. Certainly wasn't me. It wasn't anything that was spoken. I never even heard him speak about giving tzedakah. It was interesting. It was like, not that that was a chisom. He had his things that he spoke about. But it's like, here's a person who how many months behind? Let's not discuss, but okay. I mean, there wasn't, and somehow he understood this is what the Rabbi Shalom wanted. And Matan B'Seiser, meaning from everybody, not just that he doesn't know who he's giving to necessarily, and they don't know who's giving to them, but that nobody knows that he's giving the club. As much as I saw in almost 40 years, I honestly feel that maybe I saw the tip of the iceberg. I know that for years, I would get anywhere from 1 to 5, 6 emails a week with different Torah from Rabbi Price. Some of them were additions to this